Chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange, because they just didn't hold with such nonsense. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings, which made drills. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large moustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very useful as she spent so much of her time craning over garden fences spying on the neighbours. The Dursleys had a small son called Dudley, and in their opinion there was no finer boy anywhere. The Dursleys had everything they wanted, but they also had a secret, and their greatest fear was that somebody would discover it. They didn't think they could bear it if anyone found out about the Potters. Mrs. Potter was Mrs. Dursley's sister, but they hadn't met for several years. In fact, Mrs. Dursley pretended she didn't have a sister, because her sister and her good-for-nothing husband were as un-Dursley-ish as it was possible to be. The Dursleys shuddered to think what the neighbours would say if the Potters arrived in the street. The Dursleys knew that the Potters had a small son too, but they had never even seen him. This boy was another good reason for keeping the Potters away. They didn't want Dudley mixing with a child like that. When Mr. and Mrs. Dursley woke up on the dull grey Tuesday our story starts, there was nothing about the cloudy sky outside to suggest that strange and mysterious things would soon be happening all over the country. Mr. Dursley hummed as he picked out his most boring tie for work, and Mrs. Dursley gossiped away happily as she wrestled a screaming Dudley into his high chair. None of them noticed a large, tawny owl flutter past the window. At 8:30, Mr. Dursley picked up his briefcase, kissed Mrs. Dursley on the cheek, and tried to kiss Dudley goodbye, but missed, because Dudley was now having a tantrum and throwing his cereal at the walls.
Arriving
Little tyke, thought Mr. Dursley as he left the house. He got into his car and backed out of
Prepare for battle. Select
It was on the corner of the street that he noticed the first sign of something cool. A cat reading a map. For a second, Mr. Dursley didn't realise what he had seen. And then he jerked his head around to look again. There was a tabby cat standing on the corner of Privet Drive, but there wasn't a map in sight. What could he have been thinking of? It must have been a trick of the cat. Mr. Dursley stared.
I will not leave a broken world behind.
You're coming with us, Augustine. Why won't you leave me alone?
You're lucky. I just wanted to kill you.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Objective unlocks in 30 seconds.
Enemy target located.
I won't let you fall.
Engage without mercy.
They've moved ahead of us.
Well said. I see you.
The odds are against us.
We need to put a stop to their push. Mustang. Is there yet?
What's up?
They're getting one back.
No one can hide from my sight.
Enough whining.
with the old.
I'm no easy mark.
Escorting the robot.
Scaling up.
Careful, we are covered.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Escorting the robot.
Proceed with me.
Rest up, old man. That's the thing.
We're outnumbered.
The robot's in enemy hands. Come get healed.
One of these days I'll end up
My
in
ultimate is
Fiji.
ready.
Duplicating my heart.
We're outnumbered.
We have to meet their push and stop us.
I've got you.
Wise. Incoming.
Covering you. Don't let them push any further. This is not the end.
Play of the game.
Right. No. Looking at the sign. Cats couldn't read maps or signs. Mr. Dursley gave himself a little shake and put the cat out of his mind. As he drove towards town, he thought of nothing except a large order of drills he was hoping to get that day. But on the edge of the town, drills were driven out of his mind by something else. As he sat in the usual morning traffic jam, he couldn't help noticing that there seemed to be a lot of strangely dressed people about. People in cloaks. Mr. Dursley couldn't bear people who dressed in funny clothes, the get-ups you saw on young people. He supposed this was some stupid new fashion. He drummed his fingers on the steering wheel and his eyes fell on a huddle of these weirdos standing quite close by. They were whispering excitedly together. Mr. Dursley was enraged to see that a couple of them weren't young at all. Why, that man had to be older than he was, and wearing an emerald green cloak? The nerve of him. Then it struck Mr. Dursley that this was probably some silly stunt. These people were obviously collecting for something. Yes, that would be it. The traffic moved on, and a few minutes later, Mr. Dursley arrived at the Grunnings parking lot, his mind back on drills. Mr. Dursley always
Now
sat with
arriving
his
at
back to the
East.
window in his office on the 9th floor.
Prepare for battle. Select your hero.
Someone needs to fill this saddle.
Have you enjoyed your time away with the fairies, Dr. de Cowper?
They do make lovely conversation. You are Pars, and I am Whole.
We used to come here on vacation. Let me know if you need any directions.
Hello.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
All right, let's move out.
You cannot escape me.
Barrier initialized.
Enemy spotted. Stay sharp.
The objective is now active.
The barrier cannot withstand much more.
Bit early. Dust off the boots. That was a close one. Over there. Watch here.
Misery made manifest.
You're stuck. Surf's up.
Your end is within my reach.
The barrier appears. Barrier is splintering. On your way, hands up.
Death ain't on my doorstep yet.
Enemy here!
Watching your back.
Claiming the objective. Listen to me. Hello. Increasing altitude.
It's high tide.
Best round.
Rocket barrage
Wow.
incoming.
Score 1-0.
These conditions are not optimal for experimentation, but they are optimal for a tan.
Got a good cigar and a big iron in my head. What more does a man need? Maybe something to drink.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
Victory is close, but don't go easy on them.
Sniper, keep your eyes peeled.
Barrier is nearly spent.
Gotcha. Dead up.
Why, thank you.
Come on, Cole. Try a little harder.
I don't seem to understand the gravity of the situation.
The barrier appears.
Over there.
Incoming! You're outclassed. Dispersing.
Victory. Play of the game.
You